all, let me begin by thanking the organizers for their very kind invitation to present at this national consultation. I would like to say right at the outset, in spite of whatever current employment I have, I'm speaking in my personal capacity as a Barbadian citizen and therefore not reflecting the views of my current professional association. This topic, changing norms and values in Barbadian society, I have done a brief PowerPoint to illustrate some of the things that I'm going to say and will be indicating to the person operating when I want him to change the slide. So you can begin now. I'm going to basically give a couple of definitions or a couple of the ways in which I intend to use some of these terms. Look a little bit at the context of Barbadian society, then examine some of the changing norms and values in Barbados, and conclude with a couple of brief suggestions as to what could be done, because ultimately the national consultation has a view to action, and therefore it would be required that you would have some consideration as to what you can do in response to some of the issues that I am going to raise. Let me begin with an illustration of some of the changes that we're going to be talking about. Yesterday afternoon, along Marhill Street, I took 2 photographs representative of some of the changes that we are seeing in Barbados. I had to get my son to help me upload them, but I managed to take the photographs myself. Most of you in the audience around my generation will immediately recognize the poster there as a dance poster. Given by Cali and indicating where it is and so on. This is actually a little more modern than some of the traditional ones because it actually has a picture of who I assume Cali is. But you would have seen these posters around you growing up, bar solid as moon rock, see and be there, and so on and so on. A typical poster representative of a function being given, a public function being given. About 15 yards away from this particular poster was this one, showing a cruise. And you can see immediately the contrast and the difference between the first poster and this one. This one is very loud and busy, to use the phraseology. Lots of color, lots of very scantily, and in one or two instances almost nude young women. A lot of phrasing about what the poster is attempting to portray and so on. These 2 posters, I think, reflect some of what we have come to discuss here in Barbados today. Mm-hmm. The position that many of us are trying to hold on to, and the direction that a lot of us seem to be heading to in terms of the context of the society. First of all, 2 definitions. Norms, and the Honorable Prime Minister gave an excellent presentation this morning contextualizing many of these things, so I can really afford not to spend a lot of time on them. Norms are, generally speaking, the rules and regulations that groups live by. They're the rules of conduct that specify what behavior is appropriate in a given range of social contexts. A norm either prescribes a type of behavior or forbids it, and norms are always backed by sanctions of one sort or another. Values, the 2 terms tend to be used side by side. Values are the broad preferences concerning appropriate courses of action or outcomes. They reflect a person's sense of right and wrong. And the Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister, again this morning gave an excellent discourse on right and wrong, blameless and blameworthy, and so on. The contrast between those things that we accept as values and those things that we do not. The values account for the stability of the social order and provide general guidelines for conduct. And as I indicated in the posters, there has been considerable change on some of these norms and values over time. I have seen in my life here in Barbados, some of these changes taking place right before my eyes. Growing up, I've seen, for example, a young woman, hair plait pretty in cornrow, with a tight, close-fitting top, and red, orange, or purple pedal pushers and slippers dressed to go out. Nowadays, I can step out and see a young man with his hair plait pretty in cornrow, wearing a tight, close-fitting shirt and red, orange, or purple skinny jeans, cut off like a capri, and slippers. In other words, the identical dress that would have been frowned on for a man 20, 30 years ago being commonly accepted in today's contemporary generation. I've lived to see wear sliders that were worn by my father's generation, now reincarnated as boxers in my son's generation. And you heard previously that I serve as chairman of the prison board, and I witnessed a very interesting phenomenon there while we are actually, after the disruption of the fire, where the prison was located at the old youth service headquarters, where a number of young men complained to me that they were not being given any underwear to wear. And I saw some of them bathing, washing out a boxer, and flapping it and then putting it back on. Having spoken to the superintendent of prisons, there were underwear being presented there for the men to wear, but they would not wear them because they were not boxers. And they refused to wear ordinary, traditional underwear because they did not conform to the norms that they themselves held. They rather wear them wet and sleep in them and wash them out rather than wear the ones that were provided there clean for them.